CashFlow Diary Podcast, episode 237.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the CashFlow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other CashFlow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right. So, we're not that far into the new year, and I got a question for you. Have you given up on the resolutions already? And, I don't know that. I'm sure somewhere there's a study that says, how many percentages of people quit by day 2, 3, 12, what have you. The point is, if you want change to actually happen, something I've learned for myself is to take it in small little bites. Take small little things and focus on those one small things at a time and let that be enough. And sometimes that's difficult. I totally understand, but I just wanted to remind you that you said a few days ago that there was something that you were going to do. Hey, have you done it? I don't know, but hey, that's why I'm here. So today, if you've been following so far, what we're doing is we've got a series that we're going to be talking about when it comes to giving things up, because that's a very popular topic right around now, where people are thinking about giving things up in terms of letting go of things that you typically don't want, or finally giving yourself permission to pursue something that you actually do want. So what I figured I would do is I came up with 8 things as inspired by a post that was on Facebook, and we were going to talk about 8 things for you to let go of, to give up in this particular new year, so that you can introduce the world to a new you. And today, those 8 things, as some of you may remember, are many and varied and yet useful for, in my opinion, I think they're useful for each and every person, regardless of age. And it'll probably be regardless of, what stage of life or whenever you're hearing this. But the 8 things, just to remind you, are doubting yourself, negative thinking, fear of failure, criticizing others, negative self-talk, procrastination, fear of success, and people pleasing. So we're going to be talking about negative thinking. If you want to hear about doubting yourself, or rather giving that up, you're going to have to check the previous episode, and let's do this. So when it comes to negative thinking, before we talk about thinking negative, because I think you don't really necessarily need a definition, but something that I was going to work with for this particular episode. And again, it's not like it's Webster's or even dictionary.com or Wikipedia. It's me. So you consider that as credible as you'd like. But we're going to use the definition of negative thinking as any sustained thought or train of thoughts, which are not supportive of your desired outcome. I want to make a couple of caveats for you. I specifically said it's a sustained thought. Well, we all have these thoughts that are fleeting. They come, they go, they're gone. Wonderful. That's not what I'm talking about. Or train of thoughts. Sometimes you have a thought which then attaches itself to another one and attaches itself to another one. And before you know it, you're in the ditch. You don't even know what happened. And you're just, what you used to like, you don't, and you don't even know why. Train of thoughts. Again, sustained. Not supportive of your desired outcome. The thing to think about when I say supportive is something that's going to help you get there, get to the other side. A bridge has supports. either suspended ones or ones that are holding it up. Either way it goes, their function is to help the bridge continue to stand so that you and I can go across it and get to our destination. So those thoughts should be supportive in helping you continue to stand and push forward, not necessarily shrink back. Another key word in this definition is your, because it's your desired outcome, not someone else's desired outcome for you. Please hear me on that one. Not someone else's desired outcome for you, but what you actually want is kind of where we should be. So, again, the entire definition: any sustained thought or train of thoughts which are not supportive of your desired outcome. This, of course, presupposes you've chosen an outcome that you actually want to achieve, whatever that might be. Say, you got the bug. You said, you know what? I got this new Apple device and I'm going to start a podcast too. Awesome. Great. That's your new desired outcome, right? That's something that you would like to see. And the question is on your journey to actually getting that thing launched and made, you're going to have more than one thought that may not be supportive, but you can ask yourself, was it sustained? Is it a train? And the key thing to do is become aware, because you can't correct something that you were not aware of. You just don't know, but that's okay. That's why we're talking today. So what I want to introduce might be new for some of you, but for many of you, it could be old hat, and that's great. It's what I like to call the process of manifestation. Again, process of manifestation. What does that mean? It's a process that I believe we all go through in order to bring something into being. Okay? It's 7 specific steps, or 7. It's a path that goes down 7 specific steps in order to bring something into being. Here's what I mean. If you sow a thought, you reap a feeling. If you sow a feeling, you reap a belief. If you sow a belief, you reap an action. Sow a action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow that character, you reap a destiny. Let me explain. Whatever you are thinking about, whatever's occupying that mental space inside your head, usually for most humans, of which you are one, that results in you feeling something. Now, your feelings interpret those thoughts for you or give you those signals, and sometimes the feelings are positive and other times not so much. Doesn't matter. Either way it goes, that's what happens. Sometimes the feelings are positive. Sometimes, you may not know what you're feeling. The point is, these sustained thoughts begin to create some sort of emotion in your body, in your feelings, and when you hold them long enough, and the key word being hold them long enough, you hold the thought long enough, it begins to solidify itself or take shape in terms of a feeling. When you feel a certain way, again, long enough, what's going to happen is that's going to become a belief. There are many things that many people believe and they don't even know why. They just feel strongly about it. Okay. And that's fine for them. What I want you to do is to have a little bit more empowerment by just recognizing this particular pattern. Because if you believe something long enough, when you believe something strong enough, you will take action towards it. And the converse is also true. If you don't believe, you won't. For example, in a prior episode, I've mentioned go, write, and offer. If you believed that you had the physical ability to put your information and details on a piece of paper and complete it and send it to a seller, you probably went and wrote an offer. If at any point, any part, no matter how small, of that process caused you to feel doubtful in any way, shape, or form, you likely did not go put in that offer. And this is the point. If you believe something long enough, it doesn't even have to be a correct belief. You just have to believe it. You have to believe it. You'll begin to take action towards it. When you do something repeatedly, those usually become habits. And again, we all know the habits that do not help us. And in fact, I'm certain some of you listening have said recently that this year, this is going to be the year that I stop. And whatever you filled in that blank with is likely a habit that you've been wanting to remove from your life for quite some time. As you continue to perform these habits, it kind of shapes your character. And that's just who you are after a while. It also can kind of influence, another word for that would be possibly your identity. You begin to identify in certain ways with certain groups of individuals based upon these things. And now that you are attracting this new peer group, now that you are hanging out with people who are, in honesty, thinking, feeling, believing, and acting the same as you, and you have similar habits in common, as you continue to do that, you end up creating and participating in your destiny. You know, that little dash between the two dates on your tombstone, when you were born and when you leave us, your destiny, what people know you for long after you're gone. So I'll repeat that process. Think. If you sow a thought, you reap a feeling. Sow a feeling, reap a belief. Sow a belief, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. And the character leads to destiny. It is therefore imperative, of the utmost importance, for us to focus a lots more attention, not necessarily on, hey, Jay, what do I do to achieve X, Y, Z? What resources do I need in order to make this happen? But honestly, it has a lot to do with what you think. Because as you begin to adjust your thinking to match those of the patterns of those that have and possess and are doing the things that you want, well, your feelings will change, your beliefs will change, your actions will change, and habits and character, etc. All of these things change, and they change from where it matters most, where it lasts, in your thoughts. It's really, really important. This isn't to say that you should get down on yourself for having a thought that isn't supportive. So please don't interpret this as that, nor is it to say that at some point you're going to get rid of negative thoughts and never, ever have them. I don't know if anyone's ever managed that. And therefore, it becomes necessary, if you are going to push against the grain and be something more than your present place, that you have a plan. Because not having one in this particular area, it's kind of like knowing that the enemy is coming. They're locked, they're loaded. They've got one goal: take you out, keep you from moving forward. Not necessarily crossing the finish line, just from moving forward. Because heaven forbid, should you build enough momentum that their voice becomes a whisper. So therefore, they don't even want to give you that opportunity. And you know it's coming. To try to avoid it would be, well, silly. So you better have a plan. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to share with you some of the things that I do that help me to deal with negative thinking. And again, some days are better than others. Some days it doesn't really matter. Other times when things aren't going like you planned, you need more assistance. So what do? Well, knowing this, one of the best defenses for me is definitely prayer, meditation, reading my Bible, and scripture memorization. These things help me tremendously to combat my tendency to think negatively. No matter how good things can go, they're all circumstantial, and you don't really want your happiness, to be based upon that. You say, Jay, that's great for you, but that doesn't work for me. I'm totally understood. Audiobooks have been great as well because I'm so busy. My mind gets so busy hearing and listening and concentrating on somebody else's words. It doesn't leave room for my own voice, which I think is a pretty cool defense mechanism that also has an offensive component because then you are gaining new talents and skills. One such book that you might want to pick up is a book by Dr. Joyce Meyer called Battlefield of the Mind. Because, they say love is a battlefield. I think the mind is too. Another such audiobook you might want to avail yourself of is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. Now, the audiobook obviously is not free, but I do believe the PDF version of the book is out there in the public domain, and you should be able to get a copy of that rather simply just by going over to our friend Google, who knows everything. And in case that one tip isn't enough, I have a few more for you. For example, having a support circle, meaning you've heard of birds of a feather flocking together, hanging around those who are trying to go to the same direction as you. This can be very, very helpful. And in today's world, you can do this in things like a Facebook group, which is kind of interesting and fun all at the same time. Another one is simply getting out your house and exercising. One of the things that I do is I like to walk, and I've got a number of different paths and whatnot around my neighborhood, and I like to walk, and it helps me to think. In fact, on many of my private coaching calls, I will be outside walking, especially if we're doing a negotiation. I'll be outside walking because that's when my cognitive processes tend to be their best. Another one is a routine. Just having a routine, something that is stable, constant, predictable, that you can count on to make you or put you in the state that you'd want to be in. A sneaky one, which is kind of fun, is to manufacture a win condition. Make it easy for you to win at something. Maybe you have a hobby and you're really, really good at it. Well, go do that for a small moment. For me, sometimes I'll go take my camera and I'll just walk in the woods, and I don't have any intention of trying to do anything except take some photos. And that has been some of my most creative moments and some of my best photography work. But it manufactures a win because now I can see like, ooh, here's something I just did that was successful. Manufacture a win. Now, for those of you who are golfers, probably should not go on the golf course on this one, and you know why. Another one, and this one, it can be kind of fun if you have the right network of people. Just call a friend and say, hey, I'm calling you specifically because I need to feel better and encouraged and change my train of thought right now. You got a friend like that. And if you don't, go get one, because at some point you will need their assistance. One of my favorite tools and one of the first things I often recommend is what I call a success journal. And I know you've heard me say it before, but it bears repeating, especially when it comes to negative thinking. Because all you must do is fill in one question. Today, 5 reasons I am successful are. And if you handwrite it, that's great. If you type it, that's fine. Either way, it's your own words. And when you are not feeling your best and you catch yourself having one of these less than productive thoughts, it's an easy tool for you to require yourself to read and look at. See, what I've just done is I've given you 8 different ways to inoculate yourself against what you're likely to face the next time you make that decision, right? The decision to move forward. When that little voice comes up and says, that's not you. Who do you think you are to? You don't have X, Y, and Z. So how can you dare think about writing an offer, owning another apartment building, raising more capital, doing all these things that you currently think are great and are reserved for some sort of elite class of person? Well, here's the thing. Now you have a plan. What I mean is, why not choose at least 3 of the things that I've mentioned? Choose 3 that you can commit to using the next time you recognize that your pattern of thinking, even for the last 2 minutes, was not supportive of your desired outcome. It'll put you in a different state. And by putting you in that different state, it gives you the opportunity to succeed more frequently. It's not about never falling off the horse, off the path, or off track. You want to gain the skill of knowing when you're off, so that what you can do is put yourself back on as quickly as humanly possible. It's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.